Reds icon makes harsh Darwin Núñez verdict amid Joe Gomez transfer claim. Liverpool are in fine form at the moment, and Jurgen Klopp's men are back in Premier League action on Sunday afternoon when they make the trip south to struggling Luton. Liverpool will be looking to secure their fifth successive victory in all competitions when they head to struggling Luton in the Premier League on Sunday. The Reds have won every match since the October international break, having beaten Everton and Nottingham Forest in the league, as well as earning victories against Toulouse and Bournemouth. A 2-1 win over the Cherries was their most recent success, as a late Darwin Núñez strike saw Liverpool progress to the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Cody Gakpo had given Liverpool the lead at the Vitality Stadium, only for Justin Kluivert to equalise. But Núñez was the man of the moment to book the Reds with a last-8 tie against West Ham, who beat Arsenal in one of the shocks of the round. Here is the latest news from Anfield. Owen's harsh Núñez claim. Michael Owen has admitted that Núñez's goal against Bournemouth sums him up, after the forward scored a stunning long-range winner on the south coast. Núñez had already been subject to ironic cheers from the home crowd as he failed to control Trent Alexander-Arnold's long pass. The 23-year-old managed to quieten them down almost instantly, though, as he curled the ball into the top corner moments later. It was a sublime finish from the Uruguayan, who has now scored in 3 successive matches for the Reds after his goals against Toulouse, Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth. Speaking on Twitter, ex-Liverpool forward Owen reflected on Núñez's strike and feels there is an unbelievable player in there. That goal from Darwin Núñez on Tuesday night sums him up at this stage of his career, Owen said on X. There's an unbelievable player in there somewhere, but he's still so rough around the edges. Johnson's Gomez claim. Ex-Liverpool defender Glenn Johnson believes Liverpool need to go out and sign another right-back as Joe Gomez isn't good enough on the ball. He told Compare.bet, Liverpool need a natural fullback to be playing at all times because of how important they are in Klopp's system. Gomez is a fantastic centre-half, but I don't think he's good enough on the ball or strong enough at passing to be creative and help the team further up the field to be playing at right-back, because it's not his game. Of course, he's good enough to be doing the job against certain teams, but a top team like Liverpool needs natural fullbacks playing for them. Storm Ciarán impacts plans. Liverpool's players and staff were forced to travel home by bus after Storm Ciarán's impact grounded their planned flight back from Bournemouth. Speaking after the match, Klopp said, "It was clear that it would be really storm wind, but it's really different to play football in it. Now we drive home, long trip, but with going to the next round, it feels much better." The wind affected the game, and Bournemouth counterpart Andoni Iraola also agreed. He said, "We were struggling in the first half, it was really difficult with the wind," the Basque said. "We couldn't kick it long and both teams were struggling to build up." Klopp jokingly offered those at the post-match press conference the chance to travel back on the team bus, saying, "We have food and television." The drive from Bournemouth to Liverpool would ordinarily take close to 5 hours, eating into the Reds' recovery time before the trip to Luton. Luis Diaz's father kidnapped by terrorist group, says Colombian government in fresh update. Luis Diaz's parents were kidnapped last weekend, and though his mother has been released, the search is continuing for his father, with the Colombian government entering into peace talks. Luis Diaz's father was kidnapped by a terrorist group, the Colombian government have announced. Both of the Liverpool star's parents were abducted at a petrol station last Saturday, though his mother was released the same day. His father remains missing, while a massive search has been launched in the northern La Guajira region of the country. A force of more than 200 personnel from Colombia's security services are involved in the search, with police offering a £39,000 reward in return for information. A fresh update was provided on Thursday, with the Colombian government announcing that the National Liberation Army, ELN, criminal group are behind the kidnappings. The government were told the news while holding peace talks with the group. Adi Patino is representing the government in those talks and confirmed that the ELN had admitted responsibility for the abductions. Today we have officially learned that the kidnapping carried out on October 28, in Barrancas, Department of La Guajira, of which Luis Manuel Diaz and Silenis Marulanda, father and mother of the soccer player Luis Fernando, were victims. Diaz Marulanda was perpetrated by a unit belonging to the ELN, a statement from Patino read. Although Mrs. Marulanda was released a few hours later, the player's father has been kidnapped for 5 days. As a delegation of the national government for peace talks with the ELN, we express all our solidarity with Luis Diaz, his family, with the entire country and with the millions of followers of the player in the world. We demand that the ELN immediately release Mr. Luis Manuel Diaz, and we remind him that it is his entire responsibility to guarantee his life and integrity. We remind the ELN that kidnapping is a criminal practice, violative of international humanitarian law, and that it is its duty in the development of the current peace process, not only to stop carrying it out, but also to eliminate it forever. As part of the development of the agreement on the ceasefire, our delegation will present this case to the current monitoring and verification mechanism, and will carry out all necessary actions to achieve the immediate release and with guarantee of the life and integrity of Mr. Diaz. The ELN are a left-wing guerrilla group considered terrorists by both the US and European Union. The group has a Marxist-Leninist ideology and was founded in 1964 by radical Catholics inspired by Cuba's communist revolution. They announced a unilateral ceasefire during the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, after which peace talks began between them and the Colombian government. They have been accused of bombings and kidnappings in their campaigns against the Colombian state. Diaz sat out the win over Nottingham Forest in the wake of the news his parents had been taken. He also missed the win over Bournemouth in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday night. A march to demand the release of his father was held in Colombia on Tuesday and was led by his mother. Diaz is remaining in England during the situation and is receiving updates from prosecutors. Man United should look to Jurgen Klopp for lessons on backing under fire Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag is under pressure amid a dreadful start to Manchester United season, but Liverpool have reaped the rewards for backing Jurgen Klopp during his own struggles last year. There are a couple of high street businesses trying to get a bit of cheap publicity by making pathetic social media gags about Manchester United's current predicament. Thankfully, Manchester United still has a bit more class than these unfunny jokers. And that is why Erik ten Hag is still in his position and will remain there for some time. As an acknowledgement of the job he did last season, ten Hag should be given more than 10 Premier League games to improve United's performances. 5 losses and 5 wins mean United have 15 points, and that is only 4 less than they had at the same stage of the 2022/23 campaign. After 12 Premier League games last season, Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool had only 16 points. Ten Hag has not banked the same amount of credit as Klopp has done at Anfield, but his Carabao Cup win, a third-placed finish in the Premier League and the run to the FA Cup final should give the Dutchman some leeway, and there are mitigating circumstances for some of this season's disappointing form. For a start, injuries to key defenders have been particularly telling, and even though Ten Hag has to take responsibility for his signing, the United manager cannot have been alone in thinking goalkeeper Andre Onana would not be prone to so many early, calamitous errors. Nor could many judges have expected Rasmus Højlund to fail to get off the Premier League mark in 7 appearances, but he is a young, very talented striker who will come good. To put it very politely, United have been disappointingly inconsistent this season. Ahead of the losses to Manchester City in the Premier League and Newcastle United in the Carabao Cup, they had won 3 matches on the spin. Right now is not the time to go firing a manager whose overall win record with United is above 62%. If the defeats to an outstanding City, in most reviews of the derby, City's excellence in the second half was not given the prominence it deserved, and a well-organized Newcastle lead to an extended run of losses, then, of course, Ten Hag's position should be under real threat. And the United manager really does need to come up with a system that produces far more chances and far more goals. 5 losses in 10 Premier League games is not great, but 11 goals scored in those fixtures is a huge concern. Højlund will surely start scoring soon, but Ten Hag also needs to sort out the Jadon Sancho situation. Whatever your take on the issue, Sancho is a creative player and, right now, Ten Hag needs all the creativity he can get his hands on. Over Ten Hag's 48 Premier League matches, they have scored 69 goals. In that same period, Manchester City have scored 120. United under Ten Hag are a bit of a dull watch, simple as that. That is why it is actually hard to see Ten Hag creating any sort of dynasty at Old Trafford, where, of course, the problems go beyond the first-team manager. And just as it is hard to see them qualifying for the knockout stages of the Champions League, it is actually hard to see United finishing in the Premier League's top 4. But Ten Hag should be given a far longer crack at it. Yes, there are plenty of us who actually do not believe he is the right fit for the United job. But for what he has done so far, Ten Hag deserves much more of a chance to prove us wrong.